It's so beautiful, all of this stuff. Like what a cool thing to be able to have all this. Like I'm so fortunate. It's so magical. Like wow. Hi, I'm Carl Cleanthes, aka Colorful Carl is my artist handle. And my passion basically is I'm a lifelong artist and creative entrepreneur. I own a digital art and animation studio as well as a NFT post-mortem art collaboration with my dad. That's also kind of an NFT memoir that I'm doing called Cleanthes Studios. So my biggest influences in the creative space are definitely starting first and foremost with my father. My entire life, everywhere, my parents split up when I was a kid, but everywhere my dad lived, and even my mom's house was just covered in my dad's art. Crazy paintings everywhere, all on the walls, always so colorful, always so interesting and unique, and that just always inspired me. And I was just surrounded by beautiful colors and beautiful art my whole life. And then that kind of coupled with a little bit, I love just fantasy and fantasy storytelling and some of these, Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones and, all the, Marvel stuff is wonderful too. And just those kind of things excite me. So they kind of all thread into my creative inspiration. So I first heard about NFTs from a friend of mine that's really huge into the utility side. And he started talking to me about it because he's also an art enthusiast, but he really doesn't do art himself. But he knew I was an artist, and we'd kind of known each other through the entrepreneur ecosystem where I'm from here in coastal Virginia. And long story short, he's like, hey, you got to get into this, check it out. And we started kind of doing this thing, and I launched the studio through a lot of his encouragement, the Cleanthes Studios. And then a little ways along, as I was trying to build up enough to really have a collection, a friend of mine, Ben, who also knows about me and my creative background, but also knew about my father's art, really suggested like, hey, Carl, you should really just launch with some of your dad's collections. And that kind of a bunch of lights went off for me then, because my dad and I were super close. And when he was passing in 2016, he was really worried about like what was going to happen with his art because he never got to put it out there like he wanted to. And I just promised him on his deathbed, I said, I'm going to do something absolutely amazing with your art one day. And it all just clicked, like that thing is NFTs. Like this is the place and the space that it was supposed to be. Yeah, so the idea for my NFTs basically came up as, this is like the best place to put all this stuff where it would get the most exposure, and there's so much excitement right now. So, I mentioned before that like basically a friend of mine, Chris, kind of got me, just put NFTs on my radar and like really got me excited to start my own little studio and help me with that. And then a friend of mine, Ben, just really was like, hey man, you should definitely, you put your dad's art on there too. And like the idea that I could tell little stories on each piece of my dad's art while sharing his artwork, and that it's permanently immortalized on the blockchain, is just really exciting to me. The other aspect of that is just that like there was no scarcity ever, and it was really difficult as a digital artist, like because that's my primary method of doing art. There was no way to do that in a way that was non-commission based really previous to this that could generate you income, and I just thought that was a really cool way to do something in honor of my father that could also be lucrative. So the biggest challenge I faced with this whole collection, the internal parts of like, really cutting the time aside from my normal business and the normal things that I do to force myself to work on this collection and set timelines and milestones and meet them. There was a big fiasco that happened at the end, essentially. 1 week before we're about to launch, we've already been promoting for weeks and everything's going really well. My developer let me know that it wasn't going to be possible for them to get the site up by the next Friday. When we were planning on actually doing the launch. Now, only 4 days prior to that, I'd been listening to the Edge of NFTs podcast, and the owner of NFTify was actually on there and their featured guest, and talking about how they had this amazing platform where anybody could mint their own NFTs and build their own NFT site, and it was totally free and all these crazy things. So like, I just immediately remembered that and jumped right over to that, and had literally, I mean, almost no problem going from there. So like the most terrifying and just like almost derailing obstacle was that like I lost my developer like in the 9th hour. But you know, NFTify's platform did what it needed to do, and it was amazing. So the minting process on NFTify was really straightforward. I mean, they basically allow you to put in a description, have different collections, different labels like within the store, like what type of art this is and whatever. You can build all your own custom labels. You can build all your own custom like stats and metrics into the NFT, which I thought was really, really good. Like there was so many robust features and basically unlimited ways for you to categorize and add details to your NFTs that will provide value in the long haul, you know, for people who collect them. So I thought that was really great. That there basically was no limitations on how I wanted to make my NFT. I could have just had a picture and a description, but I ended up having a picture, a description, like 8 different labels that were custom, like unique things, and then a rating system, like a 1 to 5 rating system with cool little level bars and stuff on each one for each piece of like how this art, you know, I created a whole metric for it. So it was really, really fun, really intuitive, and it just allowed me to create the NFT the way I wanted to and not force me into a box that I didn't want to be in. So working with the NFTify team was actually really good. I had a few spots where I kind of ran into some things. I misheard a couple things on the podcast about features that they were coming out with eventually that hadn't hit the market yet. And then I had some other little questions here and there. So I just DM'd them on Twitter. And I was like, hey guys, I'm looking for this or that. And they're like, oh, that isn't actually out yet. And oh, but this is where you can find that. And it was really good. They were really responsive, like less than 24 hours. And I think they're all in Vietnam I believe was what I heard. But you know, big time difference. I'm on the East Coast of the US, but they were still able to get back to me in a timely fashion. I've been extremely helpful in anything I've asked. So I'm really grateful for that. I would absolutely recommend NFTify to any budding artist that wants to have their own site, that wants something super easy. They basically have collections already set up where if you don't want to spend any money, you just want to dip your toe into NFTs and see if this is a thing for you. This is a zero cost option. You jump in here, you get to make yourself a cool site. There's no monthly subscription fees. There's no anything like that. And just figure out, hey, is this something that seems viable? Is it fun? Is it something you want to do? And you could have all that, and all you have to expend is your time, which is the minimum, you know, that you could expect from anything, which is fantastic. So I highly recommend it. Sure, so my plan to grow my NFT store right now looks like, you know, collaborations with bigger platforms, other technologies that I can incorporate into my NFTs. We have a document security company that's going to work with us to help create more value and security on our NFTs, and that like they're going to have digital watermarks and cool stuff like that. We have some other platforms that we're looking at that are going to be helpful in adding value to our NFT technology. But you know, the biggest things I think that anyone needs to do is really build a Twitter following and build a Discord following. So that's what we're doing right now. So, you know, if you want to be a part of that, please come by and check it out. We're going to probably do a weekly show coming up soon where I'm going to do live art on my Twitter page, and then we're going to give away POAP NFTs and do some cool things like that where, you know, a POAP is a proof of participation NFT. If you're not familiar with that, they're basically saying, hey, I was there and I saw the thing, you know, I got the t-shirt, right? Like it's that same idea. So those would be cool. I hope those will help incentivize people. I know they have for me and other people's platforms. So. Yeah, I would love it if you guys would come by and check out what we're up to. CleanthesStudios.com. There'll be a link to our NFT store from there. We're also on Discord at Cleanthes Studio. There's no S. You can't have that many characters on Twitter for some reason. Also on our website, you know, or our Twitter, you can jump over to our Discord page. Love to have you there. We'll be having exclusive whitelist, you know, competitions and offers there for our Discord community, giving out POAP NFTs and stuff like that we've talked about. We'll also probably give away some actual NFTs of custom things I create, post-mortem collaborations with my dad, which is they're really fun. You guys should check those out too. So thank you for watching this video.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel to get the latest updates about NFTify. Stay tuned and thank you for watching.